So Lily well, I mean, moving on to Lily, it's hard to say that Lily isn't every bit as good as Valken because Lily
Yep.
can do the same thing. You can make a Lily. I can get a Lily that's got like 50k, I think. Defense was the highest I've ever gotten her. Um, or high 40s, low 50s, something like that. I'm pretty sure I had a screenshot of her at like 52, something like that. Like it can get ridiculously high. And then you can also get her to like 24k attack if you want. Um, Obviously not at the same time. Um,
Right.
and you
Wouldn't be
push her
cool.
skill like there's a lot of different routes that you can go with her because the big thing that she does, well, the two biggest advantages she's got is her oak form and vines. So the oak form gives her like 90% or 95% damage resistance, and she starts in the form. When she would normally die, she goes back into the form and gets 25% of her health back, or 20% of her health back, I forget which, and then still is in that form. And then in the fights, I mean, she's hard to kill. She's very survivable. Her form doesn't block taunt or any other buffs, so
Right.
you can use her with a taunt rune. Um, but the thing is, the vines do damage initially, then they do damage over time at the end of each round, and then they also heal based on the amount of damage that they do. So the thing is, you can push any number of stats to change the character of that damage. I did a bunch of testing when I was in MFG on Lily's Vines. The initial damage comes purely from her attack stat. The skill may end up influencing the attack stat itself, but the attack stat, changing the attack stat, makes that initial the vines explode. That's where the damage comes from.
Right.
The end of round damage comes from skill. So you could have a relatively low attack but a really high skill, and every end of round you're going to get those massive boosts of damage. Um, and healing and everything like that. So that combination of being able to go defensive or going attack or going skill attack or skill defense or whatever, that gives you a lot of flexibility. I built my Lily for my dragon team around doing high attack without very much skill, so that first burst of damage was really high with tainted runes. Whereas if you were to do that same thing with high skill, that at the end of each round she's going to be doing a bunch of damage with tainted runes. So you have a lot of different ways you can rune her out, a lot of different utility. She also provides evasion with her S2. She provides plant growth, which can improve defense and attack and other stats. She can turn all green heroes into plants and make them have plant growth and all that other stuff. She's just an extremely, extremely good hero. And I will turn it
Completely agree.
over to you.
Only thing that once again I'd add to that even a little bit is that one with nature ability not only gives you damage reflection, which is insane. Trust me, there's not a player that you could talk to that has not died hitting a lily at one point in some battle.
Especially with a
Um,
plant rune or two on her. But yeah.
exactly. But not only does it give you damage reflection, it gives you healing. So all the damage you do while you're at one with nature, you get all that health back. So by
Mm-hmm.
round 3, your heroes are they're banged up, and all of a sudden they attack somebody, and all their health is back.
Yep. Indeed.
Great hero.
Yeah, and I mean she pairs really well with like Jumbo, obviously. Rocky, not so much. Rocky's not a very good hero, but she with Kelpie, amazingly. Like you get her and Kelpie, and then any blue or green hero will become plants. Like her epic is so good. I mean, it basically causes all the green heroes to become plants and grows and everything else. Like she is so good when you build a team around her. But she also is really good as an anchor for a team. Like she's the flagstone that keeps the rest of a lot of teams together because she is so durable and provides so much utility.
Absolutely. Like, and once again, there's so many times that she's been the last person standing, and
Almost every battle.
her vines are what wins it, and
Yeah.
our vines are what wins it. And you're sitting there in a battle that you should have lost, or in a situation that you shouldn't have won, and your Lily just holds strong because she gets so much extra hit points, she gets so much extra attack, and those vines keep sucking them dry. And next thing you know, she's the last
Yeah.
one standing, the whole dead,
It gets to a point
she
where
was
you
only
can't out damage some of the healing that the vines are doing, and then the damage to you. Like, yeah, it's pretty nice.
and so that would loop back around to our talks about like Serenity with Wound, or like nerve damage with surgical dead eye.
Yeah.
That's where those guys pay off, because they could not otherwise at all stand a chance.
Yeah, I mean, the ability, it's not as prevalent right now because healing is not as important right now in this meta. Although it is a bit for like, or at least it was last weekend for Furnace, but it's healing is not as prevalent right now, or not as important right now as it was in other metas. But yeah, being able to stop healing is huge. Like stopping
Absolutely.
Cross heals from going through, or Ember's heal, or whoever, like people that have just the health healer runes at the end of each round, an Aria that can dodge all these attacks and just heal back up all the time. Like being able to stop that healing is pivotal. So
Yeah. Before Serenity was out, Lily was an SS, 100%.
Oh yeah.
100% SS before. And Serenity just slowed her down a little bit. That's all she did.
Yeah. So moving down the list, we've got Niveus. Now I just did a video recently on Niveus, but Niveus is an extension to the Dragon family. Niveus is probably one of the best all-around, solid, not underpowered, not overpowered, very, very well-balanced and highly usable heroes that Boss Fight has released recently. There is really nothing about Niveus that is too strong, and there's nothing that Niveus is severely lacking. They did a very, very good job of balancing that hero with the help of, I mean, I was involved in some of the discussions, but Creepy was especially more involved in those discussions as MFG. I mean, it was, they put out a very, very comprehensively strong and well-balanced hero. Like, look at the number, or the rankings of all of the stuff with Niveus. S, 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 and then an S. Like, a lot of these other heroes are A's or B's or C's down in certain areas. Niveus is S's and SS's all the way across the board. The damage is outstanding. The synergies are outstanding. The survivability is outstanding. The utility is absolutely outstanding. The ability to remove corpses, the ability to resurrect heroes and or create golems and that kind of stuff. And Creepy is relocating right now.
I would say, how does he know?
Creepy is back in his house, his mobile house.
I'd say, this feels so much better. Oh, yes.
So yeah, I mean, Niveus just really provides a lot. The end of round 10% damage, really not as big a deal because it's only 10% of current health, not max health, right. So you can't die from it. But it adds up when you've got, because that will happen first, and then, assuming you order them properly, that'll happen first, and then Arrakis's will happen. Things like that, like just good damage causes dragons to follow up on hits or crits or whatever it is, and does chaos damage and gives chaos damage reduction or chaos damage boosts. Makes dragons immune to fire and lightning, like so many good things. So your Niveus you're almost always going to use with other dragons, but not necessarily always. Those minions that Niveus creates are no joke. They do, especially because they're replacing. They take the stats of the hero that they took over, so they'll explode for as much damage as Archon does, and clear the corpses. So you've got an Aria that you just can't take out with your other heroes, and somebody dies. You cast her S1, that minion comes up, and then all of a sudden you sacrifice the minion, and Arya is dead. And it's different damage types. Then I mean, it's cold damage and stuff like that, or like water damage instead of fire damage and things like that. And getting rid of all the corpses and yeah, just very, very versatile, very well rounded, provides a ton of utility. And I will shut up now that Creepy is in his car and let you talk a bit.
So I would say that the Niveus, once again, is a perfectly balanced hero. And absolutely amen to, if you're on a team with Alrakis, make sure that you stack Niveus ahead of them. Wherever you stack them, I would suggest slot 1. But anyway, wherever you stack them, just make sure you stack Niveus ahead of Alrakis. Absolutely fantastic utility. The dragon. Assuming you use foresights or you don't use foresights, you're going to get damage reduction. You're not going to get frozen from Falcon. You're not going to get diseased. You're not going to get these extra buffs that could be piled on you otherwise. But at the same time, dragon skills can be taken away. So balance piece. It's not like every dragon has dragon scale and it's unpurgeable for 1 round. You know, it's a great hero. I don't know. I really enjoy him. And another thing that I like about him, so when we were talking about the S's, you know, we brought this up yesterday about Alrakis for a little bit, but we also brought this up with Serenity. The counter is not to Niveus, isn't Niveus. Niveus isn't so insane that the only way to touch him is to bring another him, and then you just hope he has enough stars or you have enough rune. He's a great hero, lots of utility.
Although you can use Niveus against Niveus because of the corpse clearing.
Absolutely, but he's not the only thing.
Right, exactly.
Like, you are not going to go into a Serenity fight or like a Dagon Serenity type fight without, guess what? Serenity. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to need damage reduction, magic damage reduction. And so with Niveus, it's not the case. Great utility, great hero.
Right. And also that kind of makes me think, and I want to throw one more hero onto this list. I'm not going to update it in the spreadsheet live, but I want to talk about another hero that will transition because it's a gold hero back that should be on this list that I didn't put on here, and that's Furno. Furno does belong on the S list right now because of the damage output that he can generate. I've ruined my Furnos all attack with tainted runes and everything else. Like, I put him balls to the wall attack, and he will one-shot a bitch over and over and over. And then his survivability with his rebirth ability, where he resurrects himself after the first time he dies and does damage to the other people. Even if that ability is broken right now, it still does damage. I've had it kill people. Furno is all around a very good hero. And you always put Furno in the furthest slot to the right that you can, just before the slow heroes, or if there are no slow heroes, then he's last, because his first round attack debuff is destructive to Dagon teams, Archon teams, things like that. Like, it just cripples those teams. That it's like a 50% damage. It's basically the same as, or no, it might not quite be 50. It's almost as good as disease. And it bypasses immunities and everything else too. Like, it's a really, really good ability.
True.
So yeah, Furno belongs on this list as well. But I mean the Dragon teams are really like a team full of, they're not the Michael Jordan or the LeBron James of the basketball team. They're and I don't know any other basketball players. They're like the support team, the support players that as a unit work really well together, and that they don't have any weaknesses, but they're not necessarily the all-stars, which is what the S heroes really are. And I think Niveus as well as Furno exemplify that kind of filling in the cracks. There's a lot of times where Furno can make the difference about whether or not you survive against Dagon or Archon. And Furno is also immune to fire, even if he doesn't have Niveus on the team. So the Archon Explosion is going to heal Furno. Yeah, I mean, all around great hero. I just did a video on Furno getting redone and all of that. So, or yeah, no, I haven't gotten to him yet. I will be doing it shortly, so look out for that. I may even do it yet. It won't release today, so. But yeah, Furno absolutely great. Furno's also got a little bit of a different or a non-standard rune slots. He replaces what would be the red rune with a blue rune, or no, blue with a red. He gets the red instead of the blue, so he can be more attack focused.
And then let's not forget that, you know, when he dies, he does get that double that damage.
Oh yeah, 2x damage. Yeah, he melts faces at that point.
And then if you couple that with Agnon, you got double that. And then whenever Furno dies, guess what? He gives your entire team full energy.
Yep. Both times. So yeah, I mean, or no, so, just the second time. You're right. Yeah, it's gross. It's really, really gross. He's a very, very good hero. So we've got, well, I guess let's kind of start cranking. We are about 45 minutes in. I will probably break this video up into 2 parts this time. I'm going to try to. So next we are on Pontifex Mortis. To be clear, we're assuming with these slots that if they have an ultimate skin, they have the ultimate skin. So Ponty is always with the ultimate skin. Lily is always with the ultimate skin to be in these positions. Otherwise, Ponty probably drops down to an A because his damage is top notch, but without that disease that his skin gives, his Plague Master Pontifex skin, he's just not very good. Not very good by comparison nowadays. He's still a good, solid hero. Like, he'd definitely be an A, but he doesn't stand head and shoulders above. Like, he doesn't change a fight. Right now, you throw Pontifex Mortis on a team, and all of a sudden, Dagon's attack is cut in half. Archon's attack is cut in half. Like, their defense, it affects attack and defense or something along those lines, or dodge chance, or it affects a couple of things. And it's just really, really nice. And
it suppresses your attack, crit, and your ability to heal.
Crits and heals. So, yeah, it's very, very strong. You're not going to get critted on. You're going to have 50% reduction in attack, and you're not going to be able to heal. So, yeah, disease, that disease lasts, I think, just 1 round. Or does it last 2?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If the disease from the skin lasts round 1. If you kill Pontifex, you got 2 rounds of disease more.
Right.
So yeah. I mean you're gonna want to kill him, but at the same time you're slowing yourself down for a longer period of time if you don't plan on finishing the fight extremely fast.
Right. And yeah, I mean, the fact that his skeleton self or whatever that comes back is garbage. It still requires, in many cases, somebody to spend an action or a tempo to take him out. And for things like Grand Guild Tournament, that extra round of having to do something to finish off Ponty is slowing your opponents down. So I mean, and there's definitely that kind of thing with Ponty, but he's great to make a team more survivable while still providing it with a lot of offense. His epic is very strong, so you can run him enabled. You can run him heavy defensive if you want to, just to keep him around longer. Although at that point, I'm not sure there's much reason to do that. And then you can run him more for, like, with festives and things like that, to where he's doing his other damage. Because, like, you're going to want to use, against Jin, you're not going to want to use his epic attacks. You're going to want to use his S1, because that does dark damage instead of electrical damage, which Jin is immune to. So, but yeah, Ponty is all around. I mean, all of these heroes are all around good. That's why they're in this categorization. Next is anything to add there? I don't want to cut you off.
As far as Pontifex, I just want to remind everyone, Doombolt is shield piercing. So if you have a paralyzed person that otherwise couldn't die, like an R, that
You were going Roboto. Hold on a sec. Maybe let your bandwidth catch up. All right. Try again.
So reminder that the Doom ever in a spot where you're fighting a like Archon and he's got F3.
All right, let me translate for Creepy because I know what he's saying and he's cutting out. So the nice thing with Doombolt is that it's shield piercing. If you've got a hero that has Archon that is ethereal and can't be killed that round, it'll go right through that. Or Barbarian, their Barbarian invulnerability, or the Gorgon invulnerability, or Sybil, or any number of other heroes that you wouldn't normally be able to kill because they have some buff, the shield piercing goes right through it. So if that power is active, you can finish people off that way. I will typically put a shield piercing rune on Ponty just because his epic will then break bubbles as well, but that S3 is really nice for just going right through shields. And it also does very, very well against Lily in oak form. It seems to just cut right through it.
Yeah,
yeah, you're still kind of cutting in and out a little bit, so I just figured I'd translate for you based on what I knew you were saying.
Thank you. I should be. So yeah, just
situated now.
Fantastic hero. I know that us in UW are huge fans, and we abuse the power of Pontifex plenty. Absolutely amazing hero.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. So next is Rayla. Rayla obviously used to be the strongest hero in the game at one point. They, air quotes, nerfed her. I don't think it was a nerf, and I said so. I just did a video. I definitely did this video already over the weekend on Arya, talking about the changes and all of that stuff. She is still like that command, the damage, the AoE damage, the fact that she leads light heroes now instead of just ranged heroes means that she's making your Dagon a wrecking ball even more so than like a rapid fire wrecking ball instead of just a normal wrecking ball. She does so much good stuff. And it's all front loaded. Her biggest stuff is happens in the first round, second round. After that, not as strong, whatever. But she's just a very good upfront hero. The game right now is all about round one burst damage, so she fits right into that. And she can still be fast. You just have to bring Darius. Is really what it or another elf. If they made Deadeye an elf, which I think they should, Rayla would become because then you would only need one hero to make her fast. And it's a hero that you already want to bring with her because Deadeye and Rayla together, it is so good because they both trigger each other to do shit. And you can actually, with Rayla, if you use her S1 on a target, she does the AE attack. Deadeye will follow up with his S1, which causes all the ranged heroes to do a basic attack on that target, and then all the other heroes that would be triggered do their attacks. I mean, it's gross. It is really, really gross.
Rayla, like there's some people that didn't like it, that they could just not, and they had to make adjustments because there was a lot of people that got really comfortable with pressing one button to PvP.
Right.
And it was like that for 6 months. And so a lot of people...
It's still like that to some degree.
It is definitely like that to some degree, but at least now you have a fighting chance.
Well, I would even argue that depending on the tier that you're at, like you and I have a fighting chance. People at our power level of rosters have a fighting chance. I don't think the average player has a fighting chance against these teams.
Well, that's true. But no one but no one like you just had to come up with a universal perma-red stall team to finally combat and beat, Rayla, Theron, Yan, Jin Lee defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you just go into that fight like, I hope I last past the first wave. But
And
now
get to
I feel
act.
like those abilities much more balanced out for Rayla. She still gives you great defensive passive. She still will lead light heroes in battle. And hint, Dagon's a light hero. So
If you take
I'll let
Dagon and Deadeye and Rayla and Jin into battle, you will not be disappointed. Because Dagon is going to be doing massive damage and following up Rayla, and then you want to put Dagon first so that he uses his first ability. Then, because Rayla will now make those abilities exhausted, but they'll still trigger even if they were already exhausted. So Dagon uses his S1. Then normally, if Rayla went first and she used her S1, then Dagon wouldn't be able to use it again immediately after. But because he goes first, uses that ability, it'll still fire if she then does the S1. He'll still do that attack to follow up. So you want to be careful about the order that you're doing them for certain things. But she provides the damage resistance and the survivability. So does Jin. And then you've got 2 honor-bound heroes and a dwarf. The dwarf's armored and already tough. You got the honor-bound heroes. I mean, yeah, it's just a really strong team.
It really is. There's really not much more. Rayla brings a lot of great passives, gives you some better survivability, and then she can start orchestrating a lot of abilities going into that slot 1 spot in normal speed.
I've actually used her with Zen to make Zen do his enlightenment on round 1, yeah, without having any festives on Zen.
You dirty girl.
or even worse, you put him in with 5 festives, he does that ability, and then he targets Rayla, so then she makes him do it again, as long as she leads with her S1, or her S3. It'll be a random target, but I've still had that happen. It's like your turn just lasts forever, and you bring Deadeye too, and then of course at that point you'd have to bring Darius to make her. Well, you don't even have to bring Darius to make her fast then, because Zen will make her fast. So you bring Zen and Dagon and Rayla and Jin. Oof. I think we just created a new team. I shouldn't have said that.
The only thing I'd change is I'd use Dagon in slot and hopefully get paralysis off, hold people in place, cancel out their evasion rune, and then you let Rayla go to.
Yep.
I'd go Dagon, Zen, Rayla, Jin, for example.
Yep. Or at that point, you might even go Grandar to make sure that nobody is going to be silenced or frozen or anything like that round 1, depending on what you're facing.
Yeah, and obviously, and I know some wise guys are like, well, if you have 5 festives, you don't have foresight. Well, not everyone has a team, Jack. So just calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
But it doesn't matter on Zen anyways. You don't necessarily have to have the foresight if you've got Grandar. I mean, that's the point of having Grandar there. Or having Craw. Take Craw instead. Just like you used to have to do. I mean, it's not that big a deal. Right. So, anywho, that's Rayla.